Alright, welcome. Hello everybody, I'm Ben. This is Talking Sense. Today we're going to be looking at Girl by Pharrell Williams. I can already hear you saying like, hey Ben, why are you doing this? This is like an old fragrance. Wasn't popular at all. Firstly, I think it's an interesting fragrance. And secondly, I think being as this is my first video, it might give you an idea of where I'm coming from in terms of fragrances, in terms of what, the style of this channel. So who are the players behind this fragrance? First of all, you had the artist Cause. He designed the bottle, and he's collaborated with people in the past like Supreme, Vans, Bathing Ape. He's not shy of a commercial collaboration. And then you obviously had Comme, Garcons, who generally tend to make not niche perfumes. I don't think they kind of tread that line between kind of designer house and niche. They make, they're a designer house brand, but at the same time their perfumes are not what you'd call crowd pleasers. They usually make quite interesting perfumes, quite challenging perfumes at times. And then Pharrell Williams basically brought all these guys together and said like, hey, let's make a perfume. And he released this branded under the same title as his new album, which was also called Girl. So, at the time it was pretty hyped. So if you're following the story so far, you can probably see already that there were going to be some pretty clear holes in this release. First of all, you had like a huge retail price. It's trying to hit like a mass market with a big retail price. On top of that, you had the fact that it was made by Comme des Garcons. Now, Comme des Garcons are not known for their mass appeal. They make some fragrances which are slightly easier to wear than others, but I wouldn't say any of their fragrances, or any of the fragrances that I've smelled of theirs, have been really particularly like crowd pleasers. Certainly not kind of mass appeal. So you can, I'm not very good at marketing. I'm not a big marketer, but I can already say like, hey Pharrell, I think you might have problems on the horizon for this one, mate. And he did, and it flunked. It absolutely, it got absolutely panned on the internet, and you can pick this up now for like pennies. And that's kind of why I'm doing this review, because this is available for, I think I paid £12 for this bottle. It's 100 ml eau de parfum. Like, that is bargain of the bargain bin. And, for a Comme des Garcons scent, it's not going to happen in any other scent. Like, you're not going to get a Comme des Garcons scent that cheap anywhere else. So, it's an interesting scent. So the notes in this fragrance, as listed, are white pepper, lavender, and neroli on the top. I don't get much neroli, but we'll get to that. In the middle, you've got violet, styrax, iris, and in the base notes, you've got a lot of woods. You've got vetiver, sandalwood, cedar. It's very, very woodsy. So it's not really like that bold when you see that list. Styrax is quite unusual, I suppose. Not iris and white pepper. The pepper's interesting, but it's not out there. You see it in fragrances fairly often. But how do they play together is quite interesting. Alright, so let's crack this open. What does it actually smell like? Right off the top, I'm just going to chuck it on my arm because I'm going to be, I'll let this dry down a little bit, but I'm not going to be wearing this all day. So I'm just going to wang it on my arm here. The vaporizer is actually really good on this. So, it works really nicely. So I can smell it already, and you might be able to tell from my face what I think of it. It's not good. I find it repulsive. The top of this scent is disgusting for me, personally. Might not be for everyone. I've seen people's faces of this and they love it. Not me. I think it's disgusting. It's getting a bit more easy now. I can get a bit closer. It's just like a huge bomb of violet, and not in a good way, like overly sweet. And there's this weird kind of animalic smell to it as well that I get, that that kind of blends with it, and it really almost makes me gag. And then this stays like this for quite a while. Like, it'll stay like this on my skin for about half an hour of just, I'm gonna stop smelling that is bad. And it doesn't get any better for a while, but bear with me, okay? So say off the top, it's violet and it's a bit animalic. It starts turning into this kind of weird, like almost like burnt rubber, very sweaty animalic smell, very bitter, like underneath this like huge, so on the top you've just got this huge sugary violet bomb, and then just below that you've got this kind of burnt rubber, sweaty animalic smell. It's not good, and there's nothing wrong with this bottle, like seriously, this is just the way it's meant to be. Like, but maybe it's reacting not well on my skin, but now already it's settling. And I'm starting to, you know, okay, I can get with this a little bit more. Still a bit much, but I can get with this a little bit more. Very sweet, a little bit medicinal, but it's still very violet heavy. There's like a tiny bit of lavender on there. To be honest, it just obliterates every other note. If there are any other notes in this, like neroli, I can't smell that. It's just obliterated by the violet. There's not too much woods in there yet. In fact, I would say there's no woods in there yet. It's just, to be honest, everything is obliterated by violet. But, you know, bear with me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it on, I'm gonna let it settle, and then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna talk about what it smells like in just a little bit of time, because it changes. All right, so it's started to settle down a bit now, and I have to say, once it's settled, it's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's a really nice smell. And this is kind of what irritates me about this scent, is I can't stand the top notes. I think it's absolutely vile. It really, I struggle with it a lot. It's just too overpowering. But as it comes down, as it all settles, you know, once you get into the kind of mid to late dry down, it's gorgeous. It smells sort of soft, creamy. There's definitely sort of a glassy sweetness, and it's not a sweetness that is cloying or heavy in any way. It's almost like transparent sweetness. It sort of fizzes, and it's very glassy, like almost metallic, but in a good way. Because metallic, you know, sometimes you get these sort of metallic notes in fragrances, and it's just a bit dry and a bit harsh. But this is just, it's gorgeous because you've got this glassiness, but at the same time, the woods and the violet, which is thankfully calmed down now, it's just blends it together really nicely to create this just gorgeous sweetness. And actually at this point, it's actually a very, I'm not going to say mass market, but for Comme des Garcons, it's almost like Comme des Garcons light, right? It's like, it's got that woodsy DNA, but at the same time, it's easy to, it's not difficult. It's not a difficult fragrance. And I think, you know, this is such a problem because the top, for me at least, is so hard to like. And I think possibly that is going to have transferred to a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to have gone into the shop, they would have sprayed it like onto a strip, smelled it and gone, no, like just leave that alone. And at $100, definitely leave it alone. But they would have not got to this stage, which, I mean, it smells like an expensive scent at this point, and it's just, and I think it's really beautiful, but it's just challenging to get there. And I don't think many people probably got that chance. I mean, when I first sprayed this, I always the same. I'll spray it onto my arm and I'll give it like several hours. But obviously, you know, you get some that are just total scrubbers and you just take them off. And with this scent, there were several times where, especially that mid kind of animalic midsection, I really was sort of just borderline like, no, I'm gonna scrub this, but I didn't, and I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did, because the late dry down is just gorgeous, and I obviously would not have known, and I think that's probably true for a lot of people. Alright, so who's this scent for? Let's really get into the bones of this and, you know, why I made this video. Now, this fragrance, I say this is probably why I feel like it failed greatly, because I think it was going for it was sort of pushed at a mass market, and it's a fragrance that isn't mass market in any way, shape or form, from the bottle to the price to the actual fragrance itself. I think nothing about it was ever going to be mass market, but they pushed it at a mass market with Pharrell Williams' name, who was just huge at the, you know, he's huge now, and at the time he was huge. So, you know, I think it was always destined to fail. But like I say, to get back, who is this for? Now, gentlemen, if you're one of those people that wears fragrance so that you can get compliments, more power to you. But this is not your fragrance. This is not the sort of fragrance that's going to get you compliments. Personally, I don't wear fragrances to get compliments. I don't care what anyone thinks about my fragrances. I don't care what anyone thinks about my clothing or any of that. I think if I feel good, then I feel confident, and then I can achieve what I want to achieve on my own back. I don't need anyone to validate, you know, my choice of fragrance. So if you wear fragrances to put on yourself and, you know, sort of sniff yourself and sniff yourself like that maybe as you're walking around, but, you know, if you want to smell yourself and feel good and just feel like, yeah, you know, then maybe this is a fragrance for you, because at £15 for 100ml, which is, you know, maximum price you're going to pay for this, if you've noticed, especially if you've not got any Comme des Garcons fragrances, this could very well be for you, because this is essentially, so that with the late dry down that's so pleasant and so nice, I do think this is kind of Comme des Garcons, like it's almost like Comme des Garcons for like with training wheels. Like, you know, it's like an entry point to a fragrance house that just doesn't tend to sort of play by the rules very much. And I think this is a great entry point, and I think it's really interesting. And say, to come full circle, that's kind of why I made this video. And that's because I think when you watch fragrance reviews on YouTube, a lot of the time they play it safe. You see top 10 lists and they're playing it safe. Well, not always, definitely not always, but often they are. And a fragrance like this gets absolutely panned. And the reason it gets panned is because it's challenging. There's nothing wrong with being challenging. There's more to life than spraying on some Bleu de Chanel and walking around and going, hey, I smell like everyone else and everyone loves the way I smell. Of course you're going to get compliments. It's Bleu de Chanel. But what do they really mean? Nothing. You know, try something different. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, and that's why I wanted this to be my first video on my channel. Alright guys, so thanks very much for watching. I hope, you know, there's a bit of ranty, but this is my first video, so I want to kind of show you where I'm coming from. If you thought, you know, I was talking sense, you know, hit subscribe, hit like, chuck comments, tell me what you think. If you think I'm talking absolute rubbish, do exactly the same in reverse. Just hit dislike, tell me to do one in the comments, you know. Take it easy. Cheers for watching. See you later, guys.